problems. In Pakwach, we had issues with accommodation. All hotels in town being ordered not to host us. But beyond that, we've not had any major challenges with security, and we hope that that can continue across the campaign schedule.
Please help me welcome to the stage Bobby Wine. Barbie Kyagulanyi and director Oyiza.
Seen the events that happened in the film. Bobi had just gotten into Parliament, and he had been this active musician who was responding to misrule with songs, and I loved his music growing up in Uganda. And co-director Christopher Sharp was born in Uganda as well. He knew Bobi's music, and I was introduced to Chris through a friend, and he said, he wanted to make a film about Bobi Wine, and at that point, I had, been hearing Bobi's messaging, and it was really speaking to my heart and to many Ugandans who are my age. At that point, I had never voted in any election. I wasn't participating in politics or even, never voted or going to political rallies because President Museveni, the dictator, has made it very violent. So lots of the youth at the time would not, for the fear of their own lives, would not show up. But Bobi was asking all of us to get involved. And he said, we can't leave the politics to the politicians. We have to participate as a nation. So I was really sold to the idea. But we wanted, again, just we wanted to tell the film, we wanted to make a story about this great musician who's political and active, activating his nation. But increasingly, he was this revolutionary leading a revolution, and I saw this revolution happen in front of me. And we didn't know the film would be filming into 5 years. And by the end of 5 years, we had 4,000 hours of footage. I had been shot in the face at close range, locked up in prison. We lost, we had cameras broken, and we lost over 7 microphones. Whenever they would arrest him, we would lose everything that would be on his body, like body mics and everything. He won the election.
When you were an MP and when he approached you, how close that timeline was, did you already know that you were going to be kind of moving forward? Like he said, getting a little bit closer to leading a revolution, not just through rebel music, but through actual politics?
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, when I first met the co-director, Christopher Sharp, he had hired me to perform at his daughter's wedding as a singer, and I went to Malta, performed. That was the first time I performed as an elected MP. I had just been elected the previous week. So I went to Malta to perform, but I took my wife along. as a break of holiday after that huge campaign, which was a huge success after winning with 80% of the vote. So he was fascinated by our story, was looking at this pop star that just won an election. And in our conversation, I talked about many things, but most importantly, I talked about leading a revolution to awaken a massive young population. So it's like, hey, why don't we film this? I hesitantly said yeah, because I thought it was an opportunity to tell our story. However, I also was concerned that it was going to infringe on my privacy. Good enough, I was with my wife and she accepted it. We honestly did not know where it would end. Has it ended anyway? No, it has not. So we didn't know where it was going. It was just things developing, getting one cameraman running off the project and another coming and another running off, because it was getting dangerous as it progressed.
Thank you very much. So the day I met Bobi 21 years ago, I was in the public eye. He just could not be left alone, and everyone around him had their privacy taken away from them. So for 21 years, I have just been paid for being in his life. Yes, so we controlled what we show the people out there, because it's us who had the cameras and who chose which pictures to put on our social media platforms or which blog to invite in our lives. So I had control about what we put out there. When this film came, I had no control. We had to let the cameras go everywhere. But because we had accepted to film everything and we had trusted that Chris would keep everything in one place, along the way we forgot that we had Moses with us. So Moses had a room in our house. Moses literally lived with us. Moses became a family member. To a point that when he left, the children kept asking, where did Uncle Moses go? So most of the filming and most of the footage you saw there, we had already forgotten about the cameras. That's how magical it was. Moses was so smooth with his work.
We wanted to quickly put out a film if anything happened. We wanted to have that evidence, a chronological, order of events of what had happened, if anything had happened. So we edited for 3 years, but by the end of that, we had so many beautiful storylines, so many that we could make maybe 3 or 4 films, but we had to make a decision to stay close with Bobi and Barbie and keep it around them, this family, and with the love and the kids, and we see the country through them. We see the nation, the struggles. We see the beauty, the resilience, and all these things. We wanted to explore them through them. But when we showed Bobi the film, he said we had been very nice to the dictator. In his own words, and I understand, because it's different experiencing that violence and being on the other side, and to his point, there's many things that we would still put in the film, but he said the violence in the film is like 1%, and it's right, it's correct, less than 1%. But we wanted the audience to sit through the film, and it's still a very strong film. It's beautiful. There's love. There's little nuances of humor here and there, but we wanted to tell the story of the country through them, but I think you can add some words to this.
There are 2 things I'll say. One is that my wife and I are not the heroes in this film, no. The real heroes are those unknown people, unmentioned people, those that pay the ultimate price with their lives. Those that up to now are missing, hundreds, those thousands that are languishing in prisons for no crime whatsoever, just because they supported us. So we hope that one day they'll get the freedom that they deserve and also the respect that they deserve. Maybe those that are missing, one day they'll either be free, or if they're dead, they'll get a befitting burial. But also I'll mention that, like Moses said, I was disappointed when I first saw this film because so much was not shown. I had close friends that were killed on camera, that were run over by police and military trucks on camera. You know, if you're holding onto a friend, they pull him off you and shoot him in your face. And all this was on camera. And I was asking Moses and Christopher, why is this not shown so that the world sees it? I thought the deal was to invite the world into our story so they can see what's happening in Uganda, so that the US citizens and the European Union citizens can see what their tax money is sponsoring. But they explained to me and said they could not have all that medieval violence, otherwise it would turn off the viewers. Well, I'm surprised that the people that see this film find it so violent. I don't think it's as violent as the reality was. But anyway, I'm nevertheless glad that we have this opportunity to show the world what's happening in our country. And maybe, just maybe, a few people will find it helpful to push it further and further so that we cease to be suffering alone in silence and in the dark.
Saying due north, how do you not become corrupted by power?
Thank you. It also scares me because General Museveni used to say the same things that I'm saying, only more eloquently, you know, and he's a perfect description of power corrupts. But we take lessons from what happened to him and many other revolutionaries that turn into dictators. And we have decided with our team that we are not liberating the people of Uganda, but we are leading them to liberate themselves so that no single person ever rises up and says, oh, I liberated you, so I'm entitled to this and that. And also, we don't want to use violence. We just want to empower people not only to resist General Museveni, but to resist anybody, including myself, whoever gets corrupted with power. But most importantly, we want to build institutions even within our struggle so that we are accountable to institutions, not to individuals. From across Africa, for example, when I was abducted by the military and nobody knew where I was, and even the government was denying having me, it started in Kenya. The Kenyans started the protests. They grew and spread across Africa and to other capitals across the world. So we get support from people, from governments. No. Unfortunately, with all due respect, our East African community and even the African Union has been reduced to a club of presidents. And each one of them, many of them are dictators and they look out for each other. So, we've not gotten any such support. We are not looking for it now. We know that the power of the people is stronger than those people in power. That's why we look out for the people. Yeah.
Go right ahead.
I'm guessing that you have plans to go back.
Because of the media attention that we enjoy. And our only protection now is this that we are doing, to reach out to the world, to make sure that we are followed. And I also want to take this opportunity to kindly request you, ladies and gentlemen, to please follow us. Our only way to communicate to the world is through social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Bobi Wine with a blue tick, or Barbie Kyagulanyi. That's our only way to communicate to the world, because the ordinary media is completely controlled, very controlled. Even Facebook is banned in Uganda, but because they're young people, somehow we maneuver and get through using VPN. So yeah, our only security is the camera, and we make sure every time our house is raided by the military, we put it live on Facebook or Twitter, and before long there's international condemnation, and that is how we get freed. Yeah. Maybe Barbie can add on. Thank you.
Thanks. And to add on what he asked how you are making sure that the struggle continues. So wherever he goes, even from the beginning, he kept saying, I'm not here to save you, I'm here to lead you to be the better versions of yourselves. You can be a Bobi Wine wherever you go. So we have young people initiating conversations, political conversations in their communities. And how we see that even if he is not around, the struggle continues. That's why they end up having demonstrations when he's in prison. That's how his party has 58 members of parliament in parliament. So that's a big representation, and at all other levels we have leaders there. So the party has a structure. So when you take out the head of the party, it doesn't mean that nothing is being done. So he makes sure everything keeps going, whether he is there or not. We are here in America. We've been here for a week, but work is going on back home. So we want the people to know that they all can make a difference by being there in their positions and playing their part. That's how we are managing to make sure that the struggle keeps going.
You guys are actually paying for what is being done to our people, because the United States gives up to $1 billion to General Museveni every year. Yes, and that money is used for torturing our people, killing our people, bribing political opponents, and the like. So why we want to reach out to you, the citizens, because we know that you American citizens enjoy the luxury of being listened to by your leaders. And we know that your leaders know what's happening in Uganda. But if they are pressured to not to stop that, but to put conditions to that aid that goes to Uganda, and we're not asking for too much, we're only asking the United States government to put conditions like respect for democracy, respect for the rule of law, and respect for human rights. As simple as that. If our human rights are respected and we cannot be massacred on the street like it was in November 2020 and like it continues to be, then we would be home and dry. If there are conditions for respecting democracy, that would be amazing. We have always been requesting the US government. I must appreciate that just yesterday, the US government slapped some visa restrictions to some officials that took part in the vote rigging in 2020, and those that are taking part in gross human rights violations. But we know there are many more steps that can be taken. For example, you have the global Magnitsky that can be evoked. If that is done, I am sure General Museveni would not be able to do what he's doing. And if he doesn't do what he does to the people of Uganda, then the rest will take care of itself. Thank you.
Last question.
Hi. It is an absolute honor to be in your presence today. I try really hard not to sob during this movie because my family comes from Haiti, and the solidarity that I feel with you is so strong. Sorry. So I want to ask kind of a two-part question. The first part, I want to ask, as someone who kind of has the privilege of being born in America, but watching their country be overcome by corruption. What do you suggest we do to actually help from where we are? Like, what do you think young people who are in my position, who are here, who have access to the internet, who have access to certain resources, like, what would you suggest? I know you touched on that earlier, but what other tangible things do you think that we can do in order to support you in your mission? Or a t-shirt that says, Mr. President. I need one of those.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry that I follow the goings on in Haiti. It's unfortunate that that's happening. I know all that rises and falls on leadership. It's on leadership. But the leadership must not be left to only the politicians. Everybody can play a role. So first, do what you can do. And don't only do what you can do, but do all that you can do. From speaking out, to reaching out to like-minded people. You can start alone and then have a small discussion group. We started as a small discussion group. Barbie and I and a few friends started discussing this until one day we said, enough of just talking about it. We took a step. So do what you can do, advocate. At least we have social media, and that's a very important voice. Before long, you'll be connected to many like-minded people, and your voices matter a great deal. You know, of course, that is one thing that leads to another, and then organizing, and then you can support those that are on ground. And I'm talking about both Uganda and Haiti. This film is having Uganda as a case study, but I hope it does not only inspire Ugandans or Africans. There's so many oppressed people across the world, and I hope it inspires them to also rise to the occasion and do what they must do. Like you saw in the film, I'm not a politician, man. I'm a musician, and I miss my life. I miss myself. Today, my music is banned in Uganda, and my name is banned on radio station, and many people are in prison for playing my music loud in their cars. But we still go on. So you can do what you can do, not necessarily running for office, but supporting the voices that advocate for that. About the beret, well, we have a chapter here. We have Ugandans, many of them ran away from home, and they're fighting virtually from a distance. They are advocating from a safe distance. We have a chapter here in New York, we have a chapter in Boston, and many other parts. You just go to our website, NUP Uganda, and you will be able to get all this merchandise for a price.
Thank you. The warning about the beret, it is illegal to wear that beret in our country. And,
okay, it's not illegal, but it's dangerous.
It is illegal. It's illegal, and it can cost you, you can be charged in the military court and held in a military prison and held without charge for as long as they wish, wearing that beret. But we wear it either way.
Thank you. Maybe to put Barbie's submission in context, yeah, it is illegal. Not written anywhere in the book, in the law books. No, but it is illegal because General Museveni says, I don't like it.
But to highlight today in the world where we're having the rise of totalitarianism, we're saying, and I hope that you see this in the film, democracies need to be protected. They are very fragile, actually. Yes, you set up this system and you expect it to work with all those arms of government, but if you're not careful, you could lose that system. It's really easy, and if you lose that system, this is what you have. And finally, Barbie does really incredible work with her organization, Caring Hearts Uganda. And we filmed lots of footage again, 4,000 hours, but we just didn't have enough time to show all this great work she does with the women, with the arrested and incarcerated members of family members who are incarcerated. So she's helping the families of the kidnapped. And anyway, I would like for her to just speak about this, and this is final.
Thank you. For 10 years, I and my friends run an NGO called Caring Hearts Uganda. Caring for each other. Hearts, your heart inside conscious. Caring Hearts Uganda. And we, our duty is to keep the girl child in school through menstrual hygiene education. And we teach the girls in the villages to make their own reusable sanitary pad so they can attend every day of the school and be able to compete with the boys, and also not leave school and get married at an early age, which we know that early marriages are the reasons we have a big population back home which is not educated, because an uneducated mother, of course, will raise a child who they will not take to school. So we want to keep as many girls in school so they can have an education. But recently, since we have these problems, we have included the children of the deceased, the missing, the incarcerated in our charity. So we pay their school fees and make sure they are comfortable at school. And we also teach the widows of the missing foot soldiers how to do a skill so they can earn some money for their families. That's what we do. You can find our work on our website, www.caringheartsuganda.org.
If you permit me to add a thing, most, if not all, of Barbie's childhood friends are grandmothers now, because, and maybe she survived it, many of them had children at 13, 14, 15, and she's trying to fight that for the last 10 years. And I want to salute her publicly for that.
Thank you so much for bringing this film here. Thank you for being here. Thank all of you for being here. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
It just moves me. Like, you know when you watch something, one goes out to it, and it just, I don't know, I get really upset about, like, everyone in the U.S., they pay these taxes, they don't know where they're going to these countries, paying for, murder, people getting killed, and they're oblivious to it, they don't know. And it's just sad how, like, people, they don't educate themselves or open their minds to what's going on in the world around us. It's so corrupted.
You were saying earlier that you had never heard about any of these.
Well, it's not, like, I knew a little bit, but what I'm saying is, like, when I go on social media, the news, you never see that. You've never seen that being publicized. Because the government knows what's going on there, but they don't want the U.S. to know, because you see all the protests going on, like, with Palestine. Same thing.
I just had a wonderful pre-Christmas gift from a documentary called Barbie Wine. The documentary is about Barbie Wine's journey in life, even music and getting involved in public policy and governing, enhancing the citizens of this great country of Rwanda. The movie showed that we all have a vested interest in our country to do our own part. And his part was to be a example, to be a father, to speak truth to justice, but in an elegant, truthful way. Not for selfish gain, but to empower the people, for the people to really be masters and the servants, the elected officials to be servants of the people. And that's how technically it's supposed to be. The importance of having a constitution for people to abide by universal rules. And I really appreciate his music, liberation, elevating people's mind, spirit, and body. And the world needs that. I really appreciate the documentary today. And it will inspire other people to write different types of music about liberation, freedom, good language that if your daughter will listen to, your son will listen to, you can be embarrassed. And in the documentary, his younger daughter was like, we the people, we have the power to the people.
Hello, I am Oyiza Adaba. I'm coming to you from New York, from a screening room where we just watched a new documentary on Bobi Wine. Bobi Wine, the People's President, brought to us by National Geographic. I believe they sponsored this event, and the film is currently being screened on Hulu, so you can watch it. It's also on YouTube for those on the continent, so you can watch this wonderfully produced documentary about democracy, the fight for democracy in Africa. It's specifically about Uganda, but it's a story that all African countries, most African countries, can relate to. So I'd really encourage you to go out there and see this film, watch this film, take it in from beginning to end, what this individual has had to go through in the struggle and the fight for freedom in his country, Uganda. And also a story about love. We see his loving and supportive family, and how the whole nation stood by him in love during the course of this struggle. Bobi Wine is an enigmatic character. He is strong, very, very strong, and even stronger is his beautiful wife, Barbara, who has stood by him all this while. And we also got to hear about her works in taking care of the community through her NGO, and also support for victims of the violence that have come out of the struggles in Uganda. So it's been great, it's been wonderful. The room was packed. There was a room for Q&A, and guests and participants did ask some very, very useful questions. What is interesting is that you don't get to see much of these in this part. And when I say so, it is with intent. These stories don't show up in mainstream media, so it's difficult for people in the US to know exactly what is going on, and when on the continent. And then when you put this along with what is going on with the migration situation across the world, I mean, it's very easy to see. So I do hope you all find time to take in Bobi Wine, because it's brilliant.